Hello guys, this is Frequency in the FX Trading channel, and in today's video we're going to be in the part 3 of the video we started some while ago. The topic: how to apply forex trading strategies on a real life business, clothes selling business. So in our previous video, this was where we stopped at, and we're going to continue this video from here, and hopefully we're going to finish what we wrote. However, after this there's going to be a part 4, as the writings were not over yet before we got to this point. So let me just take you through everything we've written so you see where we're going. We have quite a lot of topics to look into today. This is all we're going to be talking about, and that is the part 3 of this video. Now we're going to read. I encourage you to stay where you are. Pay attention, because there'll be something for you to learn as you read with us. So let's go. Now we are where it says, seeing to it that bills get settled for peace to reign and allowance to up fully under and top of the bridge at Yaba. The fact that tax bills are required, I must see to it that I pay whatsoever amount required for a free hustling life and space, so that I get the respect and reputation that are coming from the soever tax collector billers that makes the business hard for us sellers sometimes. So we need to, I'm writing here that tax bills are really important, and the reasons we pay, the more reasons why we pay tax bills is because if we do not pay, the so-called authorities do not give us respect, they do not give us peace, they take our clothes away and do not give it back to us. They do that as a seizure. They do it, they tell us they've seized it as a way of punishing us for offenses. So how do you fight? Would you start picking up a fight? Would you start exchanging words? Would you start trying to involve violence? They will definitely win you. So the only thing you can do when it happens like that is pay. Okay, so you need to pay, and I already gave you several factors on as to why you need to be paying these tax bills. It's very important. Now let's read on. Now I'll illustrate this real-time tax collector fees as they are actually charging in real life. So let this go. Fees. Now I'll illustrate this real-time tax collector's fee as they are actually charging in real time. There at Yaba where I occurred. Several tax collectors there at the marketplace where I sell at, and describing how they charge us will help you understand in depth what I mean by tax payment and charges, even though they come in different persons, clothing and moods. So the people who are going to come to take this tax bills from you are people you do not know. Sometimes maybe you know them. They come in different clothes, they come in different moods, and they come in different persons, different clothing store, right? So we talk about them. The first 3 people on Monday charge 200 naira each for their reasons. Second set of people charge 200 naira. Another charges 500 naira, and another charges 300 naira. Then lastly but not the least, guys, which are generally known as tax force, charge 500 naira per day. So the total estimated volume of the charges we traders incur on daily basis is equal to 2,100 naira from those who bill us to selling under and on top of the bridge on daily basis. So we have 2,100 naira to pay as our task bill. All right, the people come in different clothes and acts. They come in different people, as I mentioned, including the government official task force. They also come around and tell us to pay 500 naira every single day for all the hustling we do, and we incur 2,100 naira from tax payments on daily basis. So let's go. The extra charges we incur are from those at the parking store where we park at. We also pay load carriers that help us carry our loads out of the parking store to the place where we start to sell. And if of course that costs 300 to 500 naira per sack of load to carry. That's our personal expenses, and that's because sometimes I carry the loads myself and call it an exercise that help me increase my physical strength. So we have sacks of clothes, 300 kg sack, and the place we put them at, we call load carriers, or those we call kaya. They are the ones that help us carry these loads out when the burden is big for us. For instance, if we have 2 sacks of dresses, there's a place we call kitchen where we go keep our dresses at, and from kitchen to Yaba under the bridge is a little bit distant, and I used to personally carry these loads myself, and I call it an exercise because it helped me increases my physical strength. But the day I feel too weak and I'm not trying to be a superman, I will just give the task to the people who carry for us, the house load carriers. They are called the kayas, and we used to pay them. So that's something we do to pay at least 300 to 500 naira. I pay 500 naira sometimes. I pay 300 naira sometimes. So that is an included cost we incur on daily basis before we start to sell market. And when I carry this load too, I also think I'm doing an exercise, and I believe in the future the exercise will help me get stronger and stronger and stronger, and not make me weaker. Okay, so let's go. So back to tax payment discussion. Since we passed through their entrances, they charge 200 naira per sack of dress we park at the parking store, and so if 2 sacks, then 400 naira. And sometimes where we pass also charge extra fee of 200 naira, and then so in total we spend 600 naira for parking and going through and fro start selling. So this explains how that where we pass through to go into parking our market at, there are people who stand there to take money from us, and the reason they are taking money is because we are passing through their entrances to go and park our load. We personally don't pay at the place we park our load, but I believe paying these people who guides the entrances is a way of paying the fee of parking our loads. So this is an extra charges we incur, and that's like 600 naira. But however, if it's 2 sacks, sometimes 200 naira. But if you see 3 people, you pay 800 naira and not even 600 naira. So there are days we pay 800 naira when we're trying to go through or through to parking our markets or bringing it out. Note that when we're going, we pay 200 and even 800 sometimes, and also when we're coming back we still pay the same amount. So you can calculate that as well. That is like 800 plus 800, that equals 1,600 naira. Alright, so let's read on. So we say the total charges for per day we take even before we start to make sale or calculate the amount of money we'll make when we buy and sell this clothing topic would be 2001 plus 600 equals 2700 naira per day. Now going back to the topic from forex trading and how its principles will be applied to real world markets. We taught in our previous videos a single trade before taking should be calculated with stop loss and take profit before any important notice. If calculated, the secondary principle would then be the risk to reward ratio, but then most importantly, any trade taken must have a limited loss, and that's what happened when we spent 2,700 naira even before any market was sold for the day. So we are already risking 2,700 naira as though we were trading the forex market, because if we were actually trading the forex market, before we take any trades, we already start risking money, we already start risking the capital we are trying to anticipate for a profit. If we risk a ratio of 2,700 naira, we're going to calculate times 10 of it. So the trade will eventually give us a 1:10 win to reward ratio if we calculated it that way. Okay? So just so you know, before we start making trades in forex, we risk, and that is why it is not a problem for us to risk out here. We are being as conscious as possible so we don't get scammed in the real life. Okay, now we know we're not being scammed in the real life is through the principle that happens in the forex market that tells us that these are the protocols and the criteria of real life business and dealings. If it goes on like that in the crypto world, the physical world should not be and excluded. That way we know we are not being cheated or scammed. Let's continue. So from here we'll look into the business investment itself and discuss how much minimum capital will be required for the business, and also relate to the basic topic forex trading, and also relate to the basic topic forex trading. Now here's going to be the it when we talk about how realistic this forex trading business is becoming to relate its impact on the real world marketplace. So just like FX markets, we encourage beginner traders who are coming into this business for their first time and want to start trading their first trade account should come in with nothing less than $25 and should observe trading psychology. We tell you not to quit your day job for maximum psychology impact. So when you grow or fail in the trading market, you could add more capital to your investment or account, because the more capital you have, the bigger your winnings. So I'm saying, relating this to the forex trading business, if you're coming with a minimum capital, you shouldn't come like, hey, I found a job that is going to take away all my sorrow, so I'm going to leave out the other jobs I used to do before. Well, that's not the case here. What I'm saying is, if you have any job in a digital world that you were doing that was earning you money, even while you are here in the clothes selling business, you can still be doing them. In fact, you should still be doing them, because money comes from different sources and from different places. When you're making money from different sources, you have more advantage over the one who's just making money from one source. Therefore, if you run out of capital while doing your business on a physical place, you can always get money from your other source of business that can help you refund your market, that can help you gather up new trends of markets. That way you are also on your feet and on your toe to making a go in this market. So let's move on. So to the clothes selling business, we encourage more investments into your assets, as you'll be eligible to making more money when your trading capital is huge. So let's start with invention and what capital is required in terms of money execution in the forex trade execution. So you see, we encourage more investments into your assets. as you be eligible to making more money when your capital is huge. So you need to understand that your capital is huge. Just like the forex market, there are trades you're not going to be allowed to take when you only have a little amount of capital. They just won't let you use that lot size. And it's the same thing here in the clothes selling business. If you don't have a certain amount of money, there's no way you can attain certain amount of progress or growth. You need more capital. That should be your aim, that should be your motive, to gathering more capital, so you are able to replace markets that you sold. Your bag should always be full. You should have that intention, that motive, that idea in you that always tells you you need to grow your market. You need to stop spending like an idiot. Stop always making money and spending on unnecessary things. If you make 20,000, if you make 24,000 in a day, you should be spending just 20%, and the remaining 80% should be put in the business, in the clothes business. Why? Because the clothes itself requires more capital. The more capital you invest, the more profits you are likely to make it. So that is very, very important. You need to understand this principle, as it will help you win in the long run. We start with transportation costs and fro. We start with transportation costs to throw and fro to buying your clothes assets. That is to say, where you'd from to where you'd be going to getting your assets for sale. So we're about to tell you how that your capital will work if you are coming with a certain amount of capital. But as for me, if I started with $25, I have a hedge here, and I'm about to calculate my expenses of where I'll be going to where I'll be going to. But maybe yours might require a little more capital, but the important factors of what your capital will do here are the workings your capital can do on the body of the dress, either when it is going to be ironed, how many dresses you should buy. I tell you what amount of dress to buy later in the video. You see it, and then you need to sort out the bills for tailoring and ironing, and then amending some of these dresses, and then transporting them back to where you'll be selling them at. So if mine is $25 because of where I came from, you should know how much yours will cost you. If minimum at all, you should start planning on how you can be a boss on your own. So let's go. So in my case, I live at Fadeli, and I go to Abule Egba to buy my assets. You should do yours. Alright, that's what I just explained. Do transportation bus stops plus their costs. Would be calculated and merged for a trading entry as FX trading site. So from Fadeli to Mushin costs 300 naira. From Mushin to Oshodi costs 200 to 300 naira. From Oshodi to Super costs 700 naira. So you see, we're going to Super to buy in our markets. Alright, let's read on. And so our transport fare to going from where we stay to where we're buying assets would approximately be 1,300 naira. Now in the market of your capital is $25. Now in the market, if your capital is $25, we'll now break it. I'm making mistakes here. If your capital is $25, we'll now break it into for we'll be transacting in naira. Yeah. Let me take out the into. We'll now break it for we'll be transacting in naira. Yeah. So regardless of the country you are watching this video from, you need to do your own calculation costs too. I don't know where you'll be buying from, but definitely if you'll be flying from South Africa to Nigeria to buy this dress, you know how much you'll be spending. But when you get to naira here, there's a lot of discounts for you. However, your transportation is something you set out, and the transportation of where you'll be selling them at is also another thing to set out. You need to understand this for maximum principle. So let's read on. We'll be transacting in Naira here. So if 10 USD is 14,000, then $20 is 28,000, and $25 will be 35,110 Naira. And so we have 35,110 Naira as our initial capital. Now we've reached already 1,300 Naira, and so our balance will be 33,800 Naira. Now, one of those successful principles we talked about stop loss is that a trader would bank on a strategy that does not suggest that a trader smuggles his trade. An example is choosing a strategy like the M and W in a reputable time frame like the 4-hour time frame, and though using the smallest lot size would set a stop loss at the given area where the strategy suggests a stop loss. Therefore, from 50 pips, this time frame would suggest a stop loss. A trader has to have his trade open that wide, and that's what the step will be taken here in the big market would suggest. Now, out of our remaining 34 capital, because the clothes we are going to buy in and it's reselling for profit should worth about 85% probability. So the fact that we're buying these clothes to resell them, we have probability 85% that after we are done buying this dress, we're going to sell them. Okay, so let's go. If each dress is cost 0.15 cents, we would buy it times 15, and that would already take more than half of our capital and wouldn't be a problem. Dresses are sold for 500 Naira, sometimes 250, sometimes 150 in Naira. But the things you need to do, you need to iron them, you need to amend some of them, and after doing all that, all the charges, all the calculations will be counted, will be calculated, and will tell you how much everything would be. So let's move on. Now we have some valuable assets anyways, so making our profit is a good as I speak. Now it doesn't end there, because this dress, after we buy, we maintain them. These dresses come from the factory and they are usually rough. Then also, most of what I buy are long sleeve. Let me put a comma here. Then also, most of what I buy are long sleeves, and I'll have to turn them into armlets. There's two more tasks given us at this point, and that's the ironing, turning to armlets and amending them, and then transporting them to our selling destination, which is at Yaba in my case. So yeah, I'll be doing the calculations of this cost with you guys for our remaining outcome. So let us do the calculations of how much we're going to be required, how much we're going to be spending after we're done buying this dress, and we're trying to transport them to where we'll be selling them, and how much we will have remaining. Let's go. So after our calculations of the clothes we bought, we spent $21.5 inside of $34, and would only have 12.5 USD left in our remaining options we'll need to accomplish. Now that we've bought 77 pieces of dresses, I'll now calculate how much expenses there'll be to be done. Of the 77 dresses bought, because armlets are more on demand than long sleeves, we'll be turning 50 dresses of the 77 dresses into armlets. The estimated calculation for tailoring fee would be 150 Naira multiplied by the 50 dresses we're turning to armlets. So that equals 7,500 Naira of our remaining 17,500 Naira in our asset, which in dollar is 12.00 USD. So what did I just say here? If you buy a lot of long sleeve dresses, most of the dresses are long sleeves, you have to decide how many long sleeves you want to turn to armlets, because I personally know that armlets are more in demand as they request for it more. than the long sleeves when we are trying to sell them in the market. So in my case, if I bought 77 armlets, I'll be turning about 50 of them to short sleeves. If I bought 77 long sleeves, I'll be turning 50 of these long sleeves to armlets, so that I am able to sell them fast due to its high demand in the market. Okay, so let's go. 7,500 naira here would be $5, so our remaining balance here would then be 10,000 naira, which is equivalent to 7 USD. Just so you are still in sync with our subject topic, the relationship between forex trading to real life business, and now our course help to impact your real life business. So of our remaining balance, we have some tasks there still to be accomplished. If you remember, we said we'll iron them. We'll talk about how much time we spent while here turning long sleeve to armlet, as that's a luxury asset needed for this clothes dealing business. Time. Alright. Time lapse spent calculated. So far, the days spent and time spent part to the topic of patience we spoke about in previous videos, which did not got applied here, was estimated. Let's say we got to Abulegba by 7:30 a.m. sometimes 8 o'clock a.m. Buying clothes and selecting takes me at least 2 hours to 3 hours, and timestamp when done selecting would be at least 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. In the future, we'll also discuss how long eating takes us while in this hot note process, since eating is a vital play in our health, and how much we spend to eat, plus how feeding money comes, if included in business money or from another source. We'll talk about that as well. Now, the next thing we do after selecting our dresses is eating. Though the next thing we'll do after selecting our dresses is eating. Let me put a comma here. Though, but that will be a topic of its own. So eating doesn't take me up to 30 minutes inside of the restaurant. So guys, I'll tell you, I'll create a topic of feeding, the feeding lifestyle, how the feeding goes. I eat in restaurants, and restaurants cost a lot of money. I'm talking about maybe I should be eating indoor or eating in the restaurant. Which would you prefer? Eating at the restaurant costs a lot of fortune and a lot of money. But if I was cooking myself, I'll be spending lesser. So I have the motivation to cook and have the motivation to not buy food out there. I need your comments on how this goes, so I understand what is best proven. Maybe eating in a restaurant or eating at home. In the future, I'll make a video on that one too. So that added timestamp would say that 10:30 or 11:30 for after close selection sale. So after we are done selecting these dresses, we now take them to the tailor table where we cut and sew them. Now, I personally am a professional tailor, and I only spend at least 3 minutes to cutting only one dress, so I would approximately spend 3 minutes for each, and for 3 minutes each for every single clothes I cut, and for 50 dresses it's 2 hours 30 minutes. There is guys for 2 hours for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm on my feet cutting dresses, and after which I give them to the tailor for sewing, which cost approximately the same time it takes me to cutting. So when I start to cut dresses, I used to be on my feet. I cut one dress for at least 3 minutes, that is turning long sleeves to armlets. And if a tailor is going to do it, the tailor does it instantly, and he takes the same amount of minutes I use in cutting them to actually doing the sewing them. That is like spending 2 hours to 30 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes on my feet doing cutting. So you know how it goes. You know we are now applying strength. So there's no job that would earn you money in the future that you wouldn't be applying energy to it. Okay, so you need to understand that as well. So now let's continue. And there at the same spot, if I spend 5 hours, let me put high. There are mistakes here. I spend 5 hours carrying out these street and body activities. If so, my time frame spent at Abulegba is 10 hours, and if accurately calculated, time is either 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and these activities goes on every Tuesday, Thursdays and Saturdays, because these are the days our dealer asks us to show up for goods. And however, if not within these mentioned days, we also could go to the lady who is our dealer during the evening, or either Monday, Wednesday or Friday. But the clothes she sells these days are usually more expensive than that she sells to us on those mentioned random days. But that's why we need to be upgraded back to our capital capacity to buy the real deal, and that is what isn't usual and common. We buy these higher and better dresses and get 98% accuracy on selling them fastest on basic selling days. So now we're talking about how often we go to the market and how often we are not going. So our dealer, the lady who sells for us, tells us to come on Tuesday, Thursdays and Saturdays to get dresses for discounted prices, but we shouldn't come on Monday, Wednesdays or Fridays. However, if we go during these days, markets are usually more expensive, and only if we can afford it, she's not going to sell markets for us. So we should be going to the odd days she told us not to come, and buying clothes that are actually very expensive. Let's say clothes worth 700, clothes worth 1,000, clothes worth 1,500, and sometimes 2,000 naira. And if we invest like this, after buying those type of dresses, when we come back to the real world to sell them, it is a goal, it is a good one. A lot of people will be rushing them because these dresses are seriously beautiful dresses. When you see them, you just start to know its value, and that selling those kind of dresses is usually very fast. When we buy those type of dresses, we used to sell them faster than we used to sell the normal ones we buy for the very cheap prices. You can tell what the difference is. You're buying dresses with higher prices compared to when you were buying them for very cheap prices. You know that your accuracy is going to increase. Your accuracy is going to spike up. And why is that? It's because you're buying dresses for a more expensive price, per to say. So you are very going to be probable. You'll be very probable on as to how well you sell them or how well you do when you're selling them. So let's go. We have all this remaining to complete this video. Let's see how long we've got. Got the 12 minutes of the video. So let's say the remaining task after is transporting these goods to our selling area, which in my case at Yaba. Here at this point, things changes back to transportation, as we are now having a big sack of dresses with its weight. So higher fee will be included, as transporters will charge us to transporting these goods, and I, the owner of the business. So here at this point, we do still have 10,000 naira remaining capital, and would include transportation fee or charges. So now at 5:30 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. we move out of our spot to take the transport bus Oshodi from Super. Well, most probably the most expensive yellow bus will take us from there at the rate of 800 naira to 1,000 naira with our heavy load with a weight of 300 kg. Then minusing this from our capital would give us a balance of 9,000 naira, not 900 naira. Let me put it over in zero. 9,000 naira. We get to Oshodi with a plan to transporting ourselves and our loads to Mushin, as that will be our next bus stop. So with the load transport should be just 500 naira, and instantly we deduct from our remaining fund, which would equal 8,500 naira. Our timestamp calculated then from Super to Mushin should be at least 15 minutes, so we'll get to Mushin and we'll be headed to Ojuelegba from there. Transportation fare is 500 naira minus our remaining fund would be 8,000 naira. When we get to Ojuelegba, Yaba bus will be the last bus to be taken. Yaba from Ojuelegba with our loads will cost 300 naira, which will now give us a balance of 7,700 naira. So guys, at this point is where we'll be ironing the dresses we bought. We do ironing at Yaba to say per dress to be ironed would cost 100 naira for each dress. And so guys, you see we spent a total of $25 for all the activities carried out for our clothes selling business, since after we'd ironed 77 dresses and for the rate of 100 naira each, we'll then spend our remaining 700 naira. So guys, for that day will be over, and until the next day we start our selling activities. So we're telling you how much you still need to spend when you're doing this business. We just explained how you're going to take them from where you bought them from to where you'll be selling them, and how much it will cost you. I told you how much it cost me, so let's go. We have at least 3 days in a week to buy new clothes products for sale, so we have to be both emotionally awoken and capital able awoken. So guys, we are talking here that we should keep capital, we should keep money for the days that we're going to be going to buy new dresses. So we are not broke and we're not able to afford new dresses on daily basis. So we're not able to afford new dresses on daily basis. We have about 3 days in a week to doing these activities. My solemn advice for myself and for everyone who is watching is that when you make any sales, when you make huge sales on daily basis, you should be able to keep capital. You should be able to save capital. If you're not saving, then there's no way you grow. If you used to make money before and squander it, something should start giving you that discipline that you need to start keeping money. The very reason you need to start keeping money is so you are able to buy more clothes. If you spend your capital, you should remember that there is nobody who will fund that capital for you. Capitals are not easily gathered, they are hard earned. You know the stress of earning capital. If you spend your capital, nobody will refund it for you. So you need to understand why you should keep your capital, and you should also keep your emotion so that you don't make mistake in the future. So guys, still on the topic of applying the winning principles from forex trading to real life businesses, but here's going to be a reminder for us to being ready enough, to be capable enough or eligible enough to buy in more markets each and every time. That is not the end of this topic. There's going to be more writing, and that will be like an upgrade if it was an app we were creating. So we're going to stop the video here as we've come to the end of the part 3 of this video. You should wait for part 4, and the part 4 is going to be coming out very soon. When it does, you're going to receive the notification. If you are a subscriber who turned on the notification bell, as you leave it on, you are going to receive a notification when we make the latest video, and when we do, you get notified as to when the video is going to be uploaded. So guys, thank you for watching. This is Frequency in the FX Trading channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment. Most importantly, comment on how you do your own hustling. Let's see how we can learn from you. So guys, this is a bye, and we say frequency in it.